What's up, wild ones? Today we're gonna pay tribute to a once-in-a-lifetime kind of friend to the Calgary hardcore scene, Evan Shaw. Evan was a creative force to be reckoned with, from booking all ages shows, to launching a magazine, to doing a clothing line, and even launching his own skateboard. So today we're gonna take a piece of his art and take it in a totally different direction. We're gonna take the skateboard he released and make it into a really cool industrial lamp on this episode of Wild Rose DIY. Once you've got all the pieces of your black iron, just take them and wipe them off with acetone. They're covered in a grease to prevent them from rusting, but we don't want that on our lamp. Before we put our black iron pieces together, we're going to take the reducing washer we got. It goes from 1/2 inch down to 1 1/4 inch, and we're going to set our light socket inside of there. And we're just going to set that in using a little bit of 5-minute epoxy. As you can see, it's a pretty good fit anyway. And then once the epoxy's in there, it won't be going anywhere. So the first thing I'm gonna do is just figure out where the first light is gonna go. So we decided that we're gonna want these lights going on a bit of an angle, one this way and one that way, just to kind of frame the graphic in between. So I'm just gonna start by lining this up kind of where the skateboard screw holes are, just so I can do the exact opposite on the other side. And I'm just gonna screw that in. Now that I have the first floor flange on, I'm just going to go ahead and drill a hole through here. That way I can run my wire up in behind. So I just bought this plain brown lamp cord from Home Depot, and I'm just going to use that. This is an extra long cord, so I'll have plenty to go from the first light and then down to the second light and then to the eventual plug. So now I can start putting this thing together. I'm just going to hand tighten it for now because I'm going to have to go back and adjust which direction the light is going. So once you get the first elbow on, then I would go ahead and start trying to feed your wire through. You'll have an easier time if you just splice these together first. Make sure to give yourself plenty of slack to get all the other pieces on. Then, once our epoxy is all set up with our lamp fixture, we can go ahead and pull our wire through there. So this hole's a little smaller on the inside, so it'll be a little trickier, but you should have plenty of room. The angle looks pretty good, but I just want it a little bit out more just so it doesn't cover the logo as much. Okay, now we can take our socket connection. You'll see here that one side has a brass screw and the other side has a silver screw. So your silver screw is always going to be your neutral and your brass screw is always going to be the hot. So on this one, this cord it says they're both the same color, but on the packaging it says that the ribbed one is the neutral. So we'll just pay attention to whatever the manufacturer says. So when you got your wires, it's always best if you can make a little hook on it. So these are not ideal, but just take that, just kind of bend it around if you can. And then you want to put it under the screw in a way that when you tighten the screw, it tightens the wire around it. If you put the wire on the other side, when you go to tighten it, it can actually loosen the wire, and you don't want that. Okay, now our connections are made. We can go ahead and just pull the wire back. Just fit that inside. And then we'll just take our screw cap that came with it and just screw that right over it. So at this point, your epoxy should be set up, but if it's not, just screw it on nice and easy. You don't want that epoxy to come apart just yet. So now I'm just gonna go ahead and just mirror the other side. So on the other side, I just took the flange and I just kind of nudged it right up to the truck holes here. And so I'm just gonna have it the same thing here. Okay, hi. So now I'm just gonna go ahead and clean this wire up. So all I have on hand is I have these little C3 straps that they're normally used for BX or armored cable and electrical. But the screws I was using before these guys are a little bit too long. This is just a standard wafer. So I had some of these left over that I've used elsewhere, and they are not quite as long. So we're just gonna go ahead and screw those in by hand. So I'm just gonna take the strap, I'm gonna fold it over like that, and then I'm gonna go ahead and squeeze it, and then we can screw this into place. Then we can just do another one on this side. Keep it nice and straight. Now you might have to pre-drill your holes if you're doing anything on hardwood, like this skateboard is crazy hard, so I did pre-drill them. So now we're gonna thread this wire through the other hole, but like I said, we're gonna use 2 wires. So what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to give myself plenty of slack on this one and cut it off. Leave yourself a little tag so it's easier to take apart after. Okay, so here we go. So our little wire is sticking out there. It might be too dark, but I can just go ahead and work this through now. It's all about the little tricks that make life easier, you know? Okay, so now we got both of those through. We're good to go. So now we can go ahead and thread our other nipple on here. Just give that a tighten with our pliers. Don't do this if you don't feel comfortable, but this hole is just a little bit too small, so I'm just gonna go ahead and drill it out. Perfect. So what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna cut this short right now and then pull the slack through, because then we're just gonna have to feed it back through once we put the socket in. So that'll give us a little bit to work with. Then the other one, since it's not attached to anything, we can just go ahead and pull that one back at our leisure here. Now what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna split these with my knife. Definitely be careful when you do that. And then I'll just pull apart really easy. Then we can go ahead and strip a little back. Okay, so now it's very, very important we keep the proper wires with each other. So whether your wire has a mark or it has a little rib like this one does, make sure you keep those together, because if you don't, you're gonna short this thing out and you're gonna pop your breaker, burn your house down. It's not gonna be a good scene. You don't want that. There we go. Then we can go ahead and screw our other cap on. So the last of the electrical steps we're gonna do is we're just gonna add this little switch in so you can turn it on and off without having to unplug it all the time, because who wants to do that? Okay, for this switch, taking it apart here, looked at the instructions. So it's really important to switch the hot side. You don't ever want to switch the neutral side. So I'm just going to snip this in the middle here, strip this back a bit. So this says to take 4 millimeters off each side, so a centimeter or so. So then we're going to fit it into the grooves here, hopefully. There's 2 little sharp pieces right here, and that's going to puncture the insulation on our wire, and that's what's going to give our connection to switch here. Place that, get the neutral kind of tucked away there, and squeeze it until it gets through the insulation. You might have to pinch it to get it into these little grooves like I did. Yeah, but once you get that in and make sure that the leads puncture the right wire, tighten it up, you should be good to go. So we tested it out, the lights work. I'm going to take the bulbs out and I'm going to cover the board so I can just spray a little bit of varnish on the black steel. Since we wiped all the oil off it, it could rust, so we'll just spray a little varnish on it and that'll protect it. Okay, now we're gonna hit this with a little bit of Varathane semi-gloss. We're just gonna hit the metal parts, prevent them from rusting, and this baby will be done. Okay, our first coat is nice and dry. There's no stickiness left. I'm not gonna lie to you, there's actually 2 coats on here now. So we're just gonna throw a 3rd coat on here, and then we can deliver this baby to its new home. Alright guys, that's it. That's how you turn a skateboard into a lamp with just a couple of black metal pipes. I think it turned out really cool. If you guys found that interesting or you like it, definitely hit that like button, subscribe. It would help me out big time, and we'll see you on the next video.